And Tint Wisdom 116. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining live or listening. 115 Tint Wisdoms in the bag, making today number 116. And for today, we're not going to have a guest. What we are going to do is we're going to talk about a post that was posted in the Window Tint Shop Owners group on Facebook. And it was a post that caught my eye for a few reasons. So, first and foremost, the title of the post is if you were to sell your business right now, not including the building, how much would you sell it for? And then, there was obviously some answers. Some people gave their number and their thoughts, and this is a topic that I wanted to talk about because, at first glance, maybe you're thinking, well, it's about selling my business. Like I'm nowhere near selling my business. Maybe you're, many years ahead of you. However, selling your business may not be something that you see coming. There's a lot of reasons you may sell your business, and I want to touch on some of those. And you may sell a business way before you ever plan to retire for, possible reasons you may not be able to come up with right now that will present themselves later on in life. So, another thing you may be thinking is maybe you don't even own a tint shop. So you're thinking, well, I work at a tint shop. So, like, why would I want to think about selling my business? I don't even have a business. And the reason you would want to do that is because these thoughts, these questions that we're going to talk about today, they're things that may shape your future opening a business. They may be a reason to open a business, maybe a reason not to open a business. Maybe when you down the line open a business, something that we talk about today shapes how you structure your business and how you look forward, moving forward. So, I really think that it's a topic that's not really spoken about a lot in our industry. It doesn't seem like a lot of tint businesses necessarily change hand, or they don't change hand publicly. Or they're not spoken about. So I really wanted to take that opportunity. We'll go through the actual thread in the group. I'm going to answer we'll read through the answers and kind of provide some commentary and provide my, thoughts as well. And also, because we don't have a guest today, this gives me a lot more attention to pay attention, like in the comments and so on, which is fun for me. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I'm not as engaged in the comments during like an interview as I want to be. And the reason is because I want to be engaged in the interview. And I feel like sometimes if I'm too engaged in the comments, depending on the topic and so on in the interview, it can kind of distract me or kind of like maybe not bring the best out of the interview. So sometimes I'm not super engaged in the comments only for that reason, just to keep my concentration and try to make the most of the guest and the conversation. But today, with no guest, I am free to look at the comments, which I really enjoy. So Haas mentioned, what page did I say it was? So the name of the Facebook group page that we're going to be diving into today is called Window Tint Shop Owners. And then I think there's an only at the end. So it's like Window Tint Shop Owners, maybe only at the end. But if you search that, you'll probably find it. And it's not one of the larger groups. It only has about 1,200 members in it. However, it goes to show you, and kind of like what my motto with Facebook groups are, there's no group not to be a part of. You should be a part of every Facebook group that exists for window film and for the surrounding industries, and then maybe even like local ones in your area and so on. There's so much to be gained from, there's so much to be gained from, there's an example of the comments. There's so much to be gained from a possible post, just one post or one person you meet or something in a group that you just don't know what you're missing. And I feel like this post is an example. If I wasn't part of this group, it wouldn't have came up. We wouldn't be doing today's live stream on this topic, certainly. So like join them all. And the comment that made me laugh was John said, looking handsome as hell in the black hoodie. And when I saw it, the second line was cut off. So I just saw looking handsome as hell. And I was like, oh man, this is an interesting start to today's Tint Wisdom. Justin Lee, thanks for joining. I guess you haven't been able to join live in a while. I appreciate it. And okay, before we jump into the topic, which obviously is no secret, I just discussed it, I do want to bring up a giveaway because I feel like we're going to do a giveaway tomorrow. We're doing a giveaway in the Window Film Revolution group. And I feel like because people are listening today, you should have a heads up on the giveaway and maybe have a better chance to win. So I'm going to tell you about the giveaway today so that for listening to today's Tint Wisdom, you will have the best chance possible you can have in winning tomorrow's giveaway. So the giveaway will be in Window Film Revolution group. I'm going to post it sometime midday tomorrow. And it is going to be a time sensitive group, or time sensitive post. So you want to be one of the first ones to reply. There's going to be more than one winner. And it's not going to be a raffle or anything like that. Like, you're going to know when you reply, if you're one of the first ones to reply, you're going to know that you won if you're within the first certain number that you have to be. So you'll know if you win, and you'll kind of want to keep an eye in the group for when this post goes up. What the post looks like is like that. And that's the post. So that's the image. It was designed by Carrie at Iron Duck Designs. Thank you, Carrie. The original post that I had designed had looks similar, but not exactly like that, which my point is, I guess it's more of an inside joke, but the font I used is one of the most hated fonts on the internet. So I appreciate her making this post a little spiffier for me. And this is the post to look out for. And that's really it. Window Film Revolution group, sometime midday tomorrow. It's not going to be super early. It's definitely not going to be late in the day. And when you see that post, you're going to see what you need to do. It'll only take you maybe a minute to do it. And if you're one of the first, probably 10, you're going to win. And if it's past that 10, it is what it is. There's going to be other opportunities to win in the future. So that is that. And we can jump into today's topic. And I'm going to do that. Voila. Here's the post I was telling you about. So this is in the Window Tint Shop Owners Group. And the title is basically, if you were to sell your business right now, not owning the building it sits on, what would you sell it for? So that's the question. And, the first thing I kind of want to point out about the question is he mentioned not including the building it sits on. So while I understand why that would be included in the question, because you don't want to value the building, because maybe the tint shop, you would say 250, $250,000, and the building's worth $1 million, that's going to throw off your answer significantly. And I think he was just trying to figure out how much, what, I don't know what's going on in the comments. Cody said the sound effect scared the shit out of you. I don't know why. It's a very pleasant sound effect. So this was the sound effect. Now, if I would have picked this, I feel like that's kind of obnoxious. I have that, but I didn't do that. I really set my day on only using this one because I felt it was pleasant. I didn't even give myself applause, which I thought about, but I thought would be kind of cheesy. All right, so, and then Dean said, happened to me. So happened to me, I think with maybe, does that mean selling your business? Maybe, possibly, came out of nowhere. It's loud on your side. I'm sorry. I'll try not to use those sound effects until I figure out the volume on them. All right. So let's go into the first answer. The first answer was just simply $500,000. Doesn't tell us much. Below that, we have Benjamin. And Benjamin says your business value is usually 1 year gross sales. If you do $350,000 in total revenue, your business is worth $350,000. And yes, Dean said he did sell his business, and Dean works for Expel now. I think everybody probably knows that. But the point being, he ended up selling his business. And I doubt the day he opened his business, he had maybe selling his business on his mind, maybe a day of retirement selling a business, but not so maybe early in the career. But an opportunity came along, and I imagine that's why that happened. So it's another example. And there's kind of a handful. Another one that comes to mind that was shared his experience on Tint Wisdom was Michael Burke. So Michael Burke, owner and founder of Sunstoppers, again, an Expel dealer, and 28 locations. Congratulations on the 28th. I think he announced it this week. I think his previous business was called Lightning Mike's. It had multiple locations. He was Mike, Lightning Mike's. You understand how he came up with the name. And eventually he sold that business and then kind of did this reboot, and that became Sunstoppers. And I imagine if he didn't have the opportunity to sell Lightning Mike's, possibly, I'm only guessing and speaking for him, however, I imagine Sunstoppers probably wouldn't be exactly what it is today if he didn't go through that process. So Dean Mitchell said, jumping back, he said, your business is usually worth 1 year gross sales. If you do $350,000 in gross revenue, your business is worth $350,000. So Dean Mitchell said, whoever said 1 year of sales is spot on. So I'm glad you said that, Dean, because obviously coming from you, someone who has sold a business, that holds a lot of weight. So that is obviously going to be a great way to look at, like, hey, a place to start. What is my 1 year gross sales? Now, in, I really feel like my overall answer to this question before we dive in is it depends. It depends because window film has so much variability in what you see as far as a business goes. So what I'm saying is you may see a business that's called Bob's Tint. Bob's the only tinter. Bob also answers the phone. Bob has a one bay garage, and Bob's been in business for 30 years. And everybody is interested in using Bob because they know Bob, they love Bob, and they would never trust their car without Bob touching it to anybody else. The other side of the spectrum is there's companies who operate nationwide, and people don't necessarily know the owner. They're not interacting with the owner on a sales basis or on any sort of basis. There's people in place, there's systems in place, they're taking jobs nationwide and so on. There's no mention of the owner and so on. And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but what I'm saying is those are two extremes. And a lot of businesses in the window film industry kind of fall somewhere in the middle, maybe not so extreme on one side or the other. So because of that, I really feel like it depends. It also depends because, ultimately, look, a business and anything is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So I really feel like when you're valuing your business, it's going to be important to reverse engineer and try to start with, well, let me look at my business, but let me also analyze who would be interested in this business. And that's going to depend on your specific business. So if you have a business that you can say, well, it operates pretty much without me. It has people in place, systems in place. I have very minimal duties as a business. That is going to be ideal to a different type of buyer than somebody who is, maybe looking at a business on the opposite end of that spectrum that says, well, I own my business. I have a great clientele. I'm the tinter. People know me, and I'm looking now to retire. Who can I sell my business to? They're two different objectives from the person, or like perspectives from the person buying it. Because, on one end, look, if you set up your business so streamlined, so organized and ready that it takes so little of your time that it's kind of looked at as like, hey, this is the business in a box and this is how it runs, your business can become so valuable from an investment point of view that people will pay you just for the example of your business. So like an example would be a licensing to use your name, or a franchise to use your system in place. And on the opposite end of that, if they're only purchasing basically your phone number and your existing clientele, then it has a completely different value. If the first thing to do is who are we going to hire to staff the place, it's different than a business that says we're fully staffed, staff comes with the business, and this is how we onboard, this is how we hire, this is how we train. So as you need another employee, this is how you'll do it. We have that system in place, versus somebody who says, well, we have some staff, they've been with us for 20 years. And you say, well, how do you hire new staff? Well, we haven't hired new staff in a long time. These people are my family and friends. That's going to be such a vastly different business, because somebody trying to buy the business has to say, well, what am I buying? Am I buying the people? Am I buying the location? Am I buying the amount of traffic that's going to come in? Is that traffic going to continue to come into the business when the owner's gone? Is that traffic looking for Bob? Or is that traffic looking for ABC window film? So, I just don't feel like it's as simple as a calculation. That's kind of like the spoiler at the end of tonight's wisdom is, there's not a specific way to calculate your price, because, I feel like there's so many variables. What I hope to explore today are the things that you can think of to be able to find the value in your business, and also spot the areas that maybe you can do better to steer your business in a direction that creates opportunity in the future, and also creates some flexibility. And, I just think it's important. Now, let me jump back into the comments. Cody says, how much? Cody, you got me on the laugh. My mouth's a little dry from not breathing and talking for 10 minutes straight. Cody said, how much did you sell your business for? I did sell my business a few years ago. That's an example of an opportunity that I didn't necessarily see coming. But it was a great opportunity. I'm beyond thankful for it, because it really shifted everything and gave me the opportunity to then pursue Tint Wiz as what it is today. I don't think if I didn't get the opportunity to sell the business that necessarily things would have worked out this way, which means we could never know each other. There might be no Tint Wisdom, and that's an example of you never know what's coming your way, and it's good to just have your mind kind of open to it and the thoughts out there. Now, to answer Cody's specific question, how much did I sell my tint company for? I actually can't say because I am still under an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, so I really can't say. What I can say is I think that I got an extremely fair price. I think it was something that if it, let's see, how do I dance around this? I think it was a very fair price. I'm very happy with it. I'm very happy with the people who purchased. I hope that they feel like they got a great value. And ultimately, I think that's the sign of a great transaction and a great value is hopefully both parties feel like they got what they were looking for out of it. Now, part of what went into my decision to sell the company was the opportunity to do something else. So the idea that, hey, I can take that money, that's going to give me some freedom and some time, and I'm going to be able to pursue another idea that I have, another vision that I have, which was pursuing Tint Wiz as the app it is today and will be in the future. And that plays into your value. So another, point that I want to point out is you can't think about, well, what is it worth? From a perspective, I don't want to lose out on money that I could have sucked out of someone. You want to think of it more of a perspective of what is it worth to me? What is the value that I feel will have gotten the value out? And then from the complete opposite side, say, well, my heart aside, what is somebody buying? And what is that worth? So what I mean is, if you're looking at your shop and you say, well, I really love my shop, but now let's take it from the other angle and you say, okay, we're talking auto. It's a one-bay garage. It's rented. It's a little run down. And realistically, what is that person buying? They're buying a lease potentially. So they have to continue to lease that spot. If they have to renovate the place, are they buying the insides? No, they're buying a renovation. And these are the things you have to factor in versus if you own the place. Or if they're buying a well-designed, updated system for how you take in customers or even just a system of how you handle your customers. If it's just, I pull them in and this is what I do, or you have systems in place and you show the customer, this is the process, or you show the potential buyer, this is the process, those things add value to your business. So you definitely want to look at it. Cody says it's like my OnlyFans account. I post great content. Others disagree. I don't know what that means. I mean, I do know what that means, but I don't know where in the conversation that was related. I'm glad you have an OnlyFans account, though. Congratulations. Okay, Haas said, in my opinion, if you have a very successful business that's well-branded, well-known, staffed, then the price would go up and be more valuable. If it's one guy with a logo, a hit or miss clients, then it's not going to be as valuable. That's it. And sometimes what happens is, somebody has to get out of the business for whatever reason, whether it be an injury, whether it be you're moving. So moving is another reason why you may want to sell the business. And an example of that in our industry is Matt from Naples Window Tint in Florida. And Matt used to operate a business in Pennsylvania. To the best of my knowledge, it was window film, but also 9-volt and so on. And when he decided to move from Pennsylvania to Florida, again, to the best of my knowledge, he was on Tint Wizdom. He was one of the first guests, so I'm just kind of thinking way back then. But I believe he sold his company in Pennsylvania and then used part of that money, or however he used his money, I don't know. But he moved to Florida and then opened a new company. And that is another reason why you may end up selling your company without seeing it coming. And it may not be because of success or failure. It may simply be because you're moving. And if you have a very established business or any business established locally, okay, what good would it do for you to shut it down and for you to reopen it in another state? At the end of the day, if those people in the other state have no knowledge of your business, unless you're bringing some serious branding power along with you, then you could definitely be better off selling that business, creating a new business in that other state, and going from there. So that could be just simply a move. And a move could be for any reason. It could be to be closer with family, to be closer with in-laws that you don't even have yet because you don't even know that person yet. That's the idea, is you don't know what life's going to throw at you. So when you're thinking about, your future, don't try and plan your future too exact because you might be disappointed. But what you can do is kind of think about all options so you're prepared whenever life throws its way at you. Joshua Reeve said, yes, it's a clean, modern shop, and I use Tint Wiz. So on that subject, not trying to plug Tint Wiz, but always trying to plug Tint Wiz because I'm just kidding. That was definitely a factor that went into, I think, from my perspective, that was a factor that went into the attractiveness of buying my previous company, Window Tint LA. And the reason for that was, while I didn't sell the software that we were using, that's what became Tint Wiz. I only sold the actual business. I think the idea that we had such an immense growth, we had systems in place, and we had all our staff using that system. So everything was in one central hub. It added to the concept that, hey, we can manage this business. We can come in and put our flavor on it, our spin on it, do whatever we want with it, but it has structure to it. Versus, how do you do things? Well, everything's in my phone or in my notes, because how do you do in your phone or in your notes for someone else? So Haley Turner says, I agree. A business branded as I'm looking for AYZ tinting, it's worth 1 year revenue. A business known on local referrals with I'm looking for Bob. If Bob isn't there, I'm going to Bob's third cousin as a second option. Isn't worth near as much as you're buying the blue sky. And then Joshua said, bingo. Yeah, that's basically the idea. So that's kind of one kind of angle. And let's continue in the comments, because a lot of these comments bring up great points and just different perspectives. Because again, the summary, if you want to shut this off right now, is there's not going to be one calculation that values your business. If you try to stick to one calculation that values your business, you may have success or you may not, but I don't think that calculation truly exists because of the variables in the industry. So Eric said, not necessarily true. That's what banks uses to assess. That's what a bank uses to assess the value. That's why a value can fluctuate. So, okay, that's a good point. So if somebody is coming in with borrowed money for a business loan or capital investment, the way they value your business is now going to become more rigid. Because if you have a company who's investing their capital, or like an investment company basically, or you have somebody taking a loan from a bank or from an investment company, then they are going to be more rigid in how they value the company. They're not going to see things from a tinter's point of view. They're going to see things from a numbers point of view. So that is very accurate. And that's kind of the idea of look, just to put it in a different perspective, if you're selling your home, if somebody's coming with cash, you can sell them anything, right? But if they're getting a mortgage, now that house needs to meet some requirements. So now the bank needs to get an appraisal, a third-party appraisal, and they're just going by that. They're not saying, do I love how the kitchen is? Is this my dream home? They're saying, what's the square footage? How does this compare to others? Let's come up with comps, and this is the price. So if you are dealing with somebody who's dealing with loans and so on, your books, the way your books are going to become basically what they look at. And more than not, your books are what the value of the company is going to be determined on if they're trying to get a loan, because at the end of the day, no bank really cares about anything beyond that, it seems, at least from my experience or perspective. So really great point with that's how banks assess it. However, if you're selling it in cash, which a lot of businesses sell in cash, or owner financing, so you're maybe taking part of your business sale in cash and then part in payments over the next few years, in that case, now the flexibility is there. No bank has to come in and approve anything, and they're not necessarily as concerned with your books, though books always make somebody comfortable. So with that said, that is one of those things that if you go, here's the thing. Businesses typically, when they start off, want to have shenanigans. So what I mean by shenanigans involve let's not charge sales tax when there's cash, and let's not run through those through the POS. Those won't exist. I'm just going to kind of pocket those. And then other shenanigan examples could be, I'm going to slip some personal expenses through the company. That's going to help me save on taxes there. It's going to reduce my income. This is a great idea, right? Now, these are potentially great ideas if you are, I don't know how to say that. They're great ideas if you like to break the law. They're great ideas if you maybe like to go to at night wondering if one day you're going to get audited. Maybe, you say, hey, I'm going to get away with it forever. And I probably agree with you. For the most part, you probably will get away with it forever. However, the problem comes in when you go to sell that company. You're going to say, well, here are my sales, but this doesn't include everything, because I didn't include all my other sales over the years. So I don't have any numbers on there. And then my expenses are going to look bigger than they are because I included all these expenses that aren't really expenses, and I took away the sales from some of that because it was cash. And you can start to see how in that case, like, you playing with the numbers to save yourself some money today can really screw up not only how you sell your company, but even the insight, the accuracy of the insight that you have looking into your business. So if you do things by the books, I hate to be that guy who says that, but it's really where I believe that like long-term value and peace of mind is. If you do things by the books, if you take the perspective of I like paying taxes because when I pay taxes, if I pay a lot of taxes, it means I made a lot of money, then it kind of shifts how you do your business, and it may shift how you pay people, it may shift your pricing, it may shift how hard you work, it may shift a lot of things, but it's okay because it shifts them in a direction that eases your mind. If you ever get audited, you're good to go. If you go to sell your business, here are the numbers. If you need to apply for a mortgage or a loan, you're going to have the numbers that make sense. So look, do whatever you want to do. I support you either way. However, that is why books become very important. And I feel like it's probably the biggest misstep is if you don't have your numbers in order from day one, it's not going to be easier year 2 or year 3 to get those numbers in order. It's going to get more confusing, more difficult to manage, and ultimately, even if you don't use those numbers to sell your business, those numbers should be how you like know your business. It's important. You cannot grow your business year over year truly by guessing or by feel, or it feels busy, or it feels like I'm making a lot of money, or it feels. Because what happens is as you go through growth, those feelings start to get convoluted. As you start to add more services, you start to lose track of what cost is where. And as you hire more people, and before you know it, what can end up happening is you can look back and say, I work a ton. I have what looks like a really successful, great business. But this other guy that I know that's doing mobile tinting or has a one-bay shop by himself, he takes home more money than me. And maybe that won't be the exact example, but you might look back and go, when I was on my own, I pulled out 150. Now I seem to be working more hours, but I'm pulling out 90. And I'm worn out, and I have this big payroll, and I have all these things on my hands. So what I'm simply saying is knowing your numbers, it's your windshield. Okay? So the more you screw with your windshield, the harder it is to navigate. So, it is what it is. Another thing is, let me tell you, when you say cash no receipt, because I want to talk about this, because I want to save people potentially the worst day of their life if they get audited or some issue. Let me tell you what happens when you say cash no receipt. Okay, if you say cash no receipt, or they say, what if I pay cash? Can I pay no tax and all that sort of stuff? Okay, here's the way it works. I'm not completely sure. When you say no receipt, okay, I guess you're not putting it through your POS system, so you don't have track of it. However, if the IRS or the state suspects you of possibly running a cash business and avoiding taxes, let me tell you what they do. The first thing they'll do is they'll go into your business. You won't know it's somebody that is, eyeing your business, and they'll say, if I pay cash, do I have to pay tax? And you'll say, no, I just can't give you a receipt. And they'll say, awesome, thank you. And then they'll know that they can guess based on their own numbers how much you screwed them out of money. And that's the problem, is you're not going to get away with it. You'll get away with it if nobody ever checks on you. I agree. But kind of saying, well, I won't give you a receipt. Okay, that just shows how much intent you have to defraud the government. That's all it does. So like these little tricky things that you put in place, you just have to take a step back and go, so wait, if they want to catch me, does this make me look more guilty or less guilty? Because, an example would be if you say, look, if you pay cash, I still have to pay tax. So cash and check and credit card, or maybe not check, but whatever, it's all the same. Check if you're doing flat glass. I wouldn't take check on cars, but whatever. Maybe if they show you their ID and so on. But anyway, point being, if you tell the customer that, you're telling them, hey, our prices are our prices and we're an above the water business and you can count on us and so on. And, if they still give you cash, and you still want to steal it and not pay taxes, at least at that point, if you ever get set up, you're not going to look guilty because, nobody knows what you're doing. But if you tell people, this is my plan, pay me cash and I can save you on tax, then I just feel like that's not really like a good way to avoid it. So I really, really want to avoid that sort of stuff because if the IRS or the state ever come after you with that stuff, you need a great lawyer. They're going to be up your butt for at least a year or two. It's going to look so scary because they're going to come up with enormous numbers on their predictions. And then it's up to your lawyer to negotiate that down, work out a payment plan. And I can guarantee you, if that happens one time in your life, you'll never, ever, ever, ever do it again. So I'm just simply saying, whether you're looking at selling your business, you're looking at maintaining a peaceful life, whatever you want to do, I'm giving you this recommendation because I really believe in it. Let me tell you one other freaking shitty way that you can step in some shit. If you get into this tax no whatever circle, okay, no tax, cash, whatever. All it takes is somebody, you hire them, they're a pain in the ass, you fire them, and they report you to the sales tax board of your county or state or the IRS. Don't think that people aren't so shitty that they won't do that. And, I'm just saying, like, ultimately, if you operate above water, things become just easy. It's just easy. It's off your plate. It's no big deal. But when you try to put these things underwater, you're kind of opening up wounds, and those wounds can get infected. And if they get infected, maybe it's just, maybe it's just a bad day, but maybe you lose a limb. Maybe it becomes systemic. Maybe it puts you out of business. Maybe one bad decision, not having insurance, hiding sales tax. Maybe it puts you in such a position that one day you have to close the business because of it. So do not, do not play games. Samir said, seems like Eric knows a lot about the issue. So I do know a lot about the issue. Let me tell you why. Not because I was ever audited. Well, okay, I was audited. Not because I ever did anything wrong, luckily, but because I operated in the state of California. And in addition to that, the city of Los Angeles, I had the state, the county up my ass for taxes every single year. We always had our workers' compensation, workers' comp insurance, every single year giving you an audit and going through your payroll and going through everything. And at some point, you can't play games. You just can't play games with these people. So I understand some states are more laxed than California. I'm giving you advice that I really, truly believe in. Pay your taxes and pay your employees, pay your taxes, have your permits, do all the things above water, because that little bit of extra getting things in place, it has value for you. It will pay you back. It'll pay you back in peace of mind. It'll pay you back in the value of your business. It'll pay you back in your day-to-day operations. And don't think it won't even pay you back in the people that work for you. Because, if you go to work for a business and they do shady shit under the table and you know that the owner pockets the cash and this and that, is that the business? Like, does that not give you a different perspective on the business you're working for than if things are by the books? Don't you want things by the books? Doesn't by the books provide you consistency in your job and safety in your future and potential? Like, for example, like insurance. Like, I'm not only getting insurance for our customers, I'm getting insurance so our employees know, hey, if God forbid something happens to you, we're insured. Be careful. I don't want it to happen, but the place you're working at cares about you. So if something does happen to you, hey, it's going to be that we're going to have the best resolution we can possibly have, at least. You're not going to be out of luck. Your family's not going to be starving. We're not going to be out of business and angry with each other. This is why things are in place. These are the risks you take when you have a flat glass business, when you get bigger in flat glass and you start hanging off of buildings and start going 3 stories up on ladders. You have to take these things into consideration, because what happens is, potentially, as you grow your business, whether it be auto or flat, as you do things that you think are making you a bigger and better business, don't be blinded to the fact that you're taking on more liability. Okay. So when you start working on higher end vehicles and when you finally get a Bugatti to do paint protection on, don't think that you didn't just take on a liability that you may cost yourself thousands of dollars in paint. You may burn a seal on there or cut the door panel or ruin a $15,000 seat. And yeah, $15,000 seat. You may take the key and lose that key and you lose an $18,000 Bugatti key. So then you say, well, did I want that Bugatti in here, or would I have been better off with a Toyota Camry? I'm just saying, it's more money, more problems, right? It's with those bigger jobs come bigger expenses, bigger liabilities. You need more trained people. If you say, well, I want to take on wrapping and I want to take on paint protection, that's awesome. And if you start doing it, maybe you start doing a hood, a bumper, a fender, awesome, cool. Now, the big day that a G-Wagon comes in and you say, we got a G-Wagon in here for full paint protection, they're going to do the whole thing, I'm going to charge them $7,000. This is going to be freaking amazing for us, okay? Now, first question, do you know how to disassemble a vehicle? Because if you don't know how to disassemble and reassemble a vehicle, a G-Wagon may not be your dream. It may be your demise. Okay. And do you know what goes into that and so on? Have you disassembled door handles before? Because you can sell a wrap and be like, we sold a wrap. Awesome. Cool. Well, go disassemble the door handles. And then one day, if you're like, oh my God, we just finally sold a wrap, full thing. And they even want to do door jams. They want to do the full door jams. Okay, well, maybe you're going to take the freaking doors off the hinges. Do you know how to do that? How long will it take you if you screw something up to realign those doors? What kind of potential problem can you put yourself in? I'm smiling at it because I tend to laugh at problems because it's my way of kind of at least trying to set my body in a direction that doesn't feel like a hammer's hitting you in the head when you have a problem or like you got hit in the stomach. So I'm not trying to like laugh because like, man, if you're saying, well, this happened to me, I don't think it's funny. But what I'm trying to do is say, keep in mind, doing 1,000 Camrys a day can be better than doing 10 Ferraris or 10 Rolls Royces. If you wet the dash of a Dodge Ram or a Mercedes CLA, it's better than wetting the dash of a Maybach or wetting the computer of a, Mercedes GT AMG. So you just have to kind of understand. Don't get too caught up when something's just shiny as a business in front of you. It's really all about your numbers. It's about your enjoyment. It's about what fits your business. What are you built to do? Okay. If you think of it this way, if you have a pizza kitchen, okay, and somebody comes in and says, can you make me a sandwich? Of course you could make them a sandwich, right? You got an oven, you have some toppings and shit. But are you prepared for that sandwich? How much time is that sandwich going to take away from making pizzas? And maybe you make that sandwich and you say, all right, we're going to add a pizza oven. We're going to add a different type of a meat cutter over here and a different oven for sandwiches. And now we're doing sandwiches and pizza. And then next thing somebody comes in and says, hey, I know you make sandwiches, but is there any way you can make a sandwich that is 15 feet long? And you're like, well, I think we could pull it off. What I'm trying to get at with this example pre-dinner is as you say yes to different things, it may feel like growth, but make sure you are set up for this type of growth because if you're set up for it, you can take in that business, you can turn it into money, get it out the door, get it in the door, get it out the door, and do it again and again and again. If every job becomes too unique and too time consuming and with liability, you'll start to chase so much time out of one job out of 20 that you're spending more job out of that one time out of 20 than if that job never existed, you could have did another, instead of 20, it could have been 30 or 40. So I don't know. That's that. I don't know where we left off is what I mean, but let's keep going. Also if a shop does, let's see here. Okay. Is a hot dog a sandwich? It's a good point. If somebody wants you to make hot dogs, you got to go get new supplies. Okay, you cook their hot dog. Maybe you got some dogs, you got some buns. You cook it, right? You give it to them. Well, what happens to the extra buns and the extra dogs that now you're like, well, now we'll offer hot dogs. Cool. So what happens if nobody buys those hot dogs? Those things rot in a few weeks. And then you say, well, did I charge enough for that one hot dog to warrant all the time I took and the cost I made, like the value I got out of that hot dog sale? And I think a lot of times you might find that it just isn't it either isn't what you might expect or you don't even know because you might not have the numbers at hand. So, all right, let's jump back into these comments. way more goes into it. What's net profit? In order to get 350,000 net profit, better be over 100,000. So net profit is absolutely going to be a big part of it. Net profit, like net after everything. And then net profit would be like also before everything. So certain things like if you're having a net profit on your sales and services, but maybe you took that money after that and you reinvested it into machinery and equipment, that's a one-time purchase potentially, or expansion. That is you're going to be looking at that number two ways. What's my net profit before that reinvestment? What's my net profit after? Because I want to know what went into the growth and what does it look like? What do we have left at the end of the month or yet year? Did we lose? Do we have to put money in? Do we have money left over? And then I want to say, well, okay, let me predict what the future looks like. So maybe next year I don't have to buy lifts again because I bought them this year. Maybe I expanded to the unit next door. That was some build out and so on. So maybe this year I had a net profit after everything of only $20,000. However, next year, if I do the exact same amount of business, but I don't have to buy this equipment again because we already have it, I might have a net of $350,000. So you can say, and every year after that. So you can see how you want to look at net numbers, but not only just like what's left over, but also what's left over after everything and what's left over, before things that are one-time expenses and so on, out of the norm stuff. Other things you want to consider is, you have to understand, like, you are an employee of your company if you're doing anything in the company. So if you have any involvement in the company, anything, you are an employee of your company. My next thing is you are probably paying yourself for that employment. And that's the way to look at it. So if you're installing in your company, you have to make sure, okay, in the installer expenses is me. And I get this wage for being an installer. That means if I'm out of the picture, Joe Blow is the installer and he will get that wage and that profit is there too. If you say, well, I do some installations, I answer the phones, I do this, I do that, and then I make about 150,000 and that's it. Okay? Like there's nothing left in the business. It's 150,000, that's how much I take home and that's it. Well, the question is, if you hired a receptionist, if you hired a installer, if you hired somebody to do the jobs that you're doing, what would be your net profit after that? Because someone buying the business may be looking at that, if they're buying a business, as well, we no longer will have Bob to do those things. And, sometimes it's going to be somebody who's looking to buy a career for themselves. So they may say, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to tint the windows. I'm going to answer the phones. I'm going to pick up where you left off doing what you were doing and so on. But again, that goes into the value of the business. Those sorts of things. So you have to consider them and you have to, think about the jobs you're doing and those things are good to think about. Again, not only because you're going to use them if you sell your business, but when you're operating your business, when you're coming up with pricing, okay? What if you say, all right, I have my film cost and I have my film cost, I have my blades cost and so on. I have my rent, I'll divide that by the day, my electric and so on. And then everything else is profit. And I'll just do everything. Okay, well, you might price yourself somewhere where you are right. You're making good money and you're making some profit and it's great. But are you considering everything? Are you considering all your supplies? Are you considering if you hired an installer and you put that installer to replace you, is there profit left over? Because the problem that you can run into is you can price things based on you doing everything. And then you can lock yourself into that future by saying, I can't afford to hire anybody because if I hire them, there's not going to be any money left over. And you're right, because you built your business around not hiring people. So while I'm not saying you have to hire somebody at the beginning or ever, because you may do all the jobs in your business, there's nothing wrong with that. What I am saying is you have to think about it when you're pricing because there are aspects that go into the business. I'll give you another example. If you don't factor marketing into your pricing, you're going to wonder how to get customers. And then if you spend money on marketing, you're going to say, well, I don't have any money left over. I can't afford this marketing. It's too expensive. And everything's going to look expensive to you. Why? Because your pricing didn't factor in marketing. And you can get, and if you say, well, I can't charge more of my pricing because for marketing. I can't charge more. Nobody will pay more. Well, you're kind of right. But the thing is, if you take some of that money and maybe you invest, like you say, all right, I'm going to charge more, but I'm not going to charge more for the same service. I'm going to charge more, but I'm going to use a portion of that more to make my shop better. I'm going to use a portion of that more to get exposure in marketing. I'm going to use a portion of that more to wrap our vehicle or put up a new sign or do something. The point is, you have to build in your own resources into your pricing. So don't get kind of like faked out by just factoring yourself. You'll do everything into your pricing, because if you price your business and your services only around yourself, then you're going to lock yourself into a cage of like a pricing cage, like a glass box. And again, once you're rolling, it becomes harder and harder to make these changes. I have to stress that, because sometimes people say, well, I'll charge these prices when I'm starting off and then I'll change them when I get busy. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Your next thing is, I really screwed myself, because now I'm trying to charge more, but all my repeat customers are giving me a hard time and nobody wants to pay more. They got used to paying less and this and that. And look, I get it. You're going to charge less at the beginning and you're going to do these things, but there's ways to do them that can improve your future, your strategy. So one simple example, just a very basic one, is let's say you figure out your pricing and you're like, okay, where we're going to be, we need to be at like 180 for all sides in the back on a basic car, okay? We need to be around 180. So now you say, well, it's really slow. Okay, well, you don't have to quote the customer 150. What you can do is quote them 180. Say, hey, all sides in the back is 180. However, we're running a special, and if you can get it done this week, we're running a special if we can get you in for 150. And that's $30 off of our normal price and so on. And look, you're going to be able to get them in the door at a lower price. However, instead of just discounting your own price and lowering your price, you've actually gave them a value. You've told them, hey, it's not 150, it's 180, but I'm giving it to you for 150 because we're running a special right now. So when they come back in the future and they say, I paid 150 your last time, you're going to say, you're right. It was a special for 150. The price is 180. And then if you're a good person, you'll say, and we're going to give you the special anyway for being a repeat customer. We love you and appreciate you. We hope we can earn your business for a lifetime. So at the end of the day, in that same scenario, you've priced it at a lower rate, maybe twice. Okay, so maybe you're like, well, what did I really accomplish? Well, I'll tell you what you accomplished. You accomplished a completely different experience with your customer, because on the first go around, you gave them a 180 job for 150. So you just gave them something that you told them is worth 180 for 150. If you tell them it's worth 180, here's it for 150, they're going to be happier than here's it for 150, it's 150, it's 150. It also arms you if they say, can you do any better? You can say, look, it normally is 180. We use a very high quality film and it has a lifetime warranty. Our prices don't change based on the shade you pick. You'll pick it when you come in and you're going to get a professional job. We do blah, blah, blah. But we did discount it from 180 to 150. So that's the absolute best price I can do for you. However, if you'd like to do a sun strip on your car, I can throw it into for you at no charge. Or a sun strip's normally $40. I can do it for you at $20. So another half off if you want to add that. So you're giving them the same thing, but you're giving them a different experience. And then when you bring them back now, instead of them saying it's 150 and you're like, well, too bad I raised my prices to 180. And they're like, I don't understand. And they walk away saying, wow, what a POS company. I don't know why I say POS, because frankly, I don't know, maybe Facebook's, I want to make sure Facebook doesn't stop the distribution by cursing. But anyway, if you don't want somebody to go away feeling like, hey, I gave this company my business when they were new, and now that they're established and busy, they're charging me more. Instead, you could give them the perspective of, wow, I was an early customer. They did raise their prices, but they're giving me a referral discount. And you know what? That even extrapolates out to when they tell their friend, hey, it's 180 for a car. Yeah, it's 180 normal price. I only got a discount because I was one of the first ones or whatnot. Look, it changes the game. It changes the perspective. These are little things that take you from going this direction. They move you over 1 degree. And that 1 degree changes the future a bit. It changes your path. It changes how people receive you. And you continue to move those little steps. And all those things play a factor in how many people say yes to you, if they leave a review, if they come back, what was their overall experience, and what you're going to be dealing with from them as far as objections and so on. So, okay, Benjamin, profit is not used to assess value traditionally. That's a variable in all business. Gross sales is what's traditionally used in business. Now, the key is, he's right, traditionally used. But I insist that window film is not a traditionally valued industry. So keep going. In all reality, you don't want to make a profit. Most businesses remain net neutral and reinvest profits back into their business to avoid taxes, which then turns into more sales, raising your value. But then again, it's real world, it's really worth whatever you can get someone to pay. Okay, Benjamin's right a bunch of times in this comment right here. It's worth what you can get people to pay. But before that, what he's also right about is most businesses want to remain net neutral. So what that means is if you are making money, it may not be a huge value for you to say, look at all this profit, and then you pay taxes on it. Because if you have a way to reinvest it in your business to provide growth, it's basically taking your winnings and reinvesting them instead of necessarily taking them off the table or holding them and paying taxes. You can go reinvest, and then now you go bigger, and then you say reinvest again, and you go bigger. So in that case, he's right that when somebody comes in to value your business, they're not necessarily just looking at your profits, because they want to see, well, hey, you might not have made profit, but why? What's the growth? What's the value? What kind of assets are you acquiring because of it? What kind of growth in market share and so on are you growing at? What's the pace? Because that was definitely one of the huge values of the company that I sold, was our growth rate was enormous. We didn't have a huge net profit. We definitely didn't have a huge net profit, okay? But what we did was we had a huge growth rate. We paid everybody, like everybody was getting paid. It wasn't like we had family members working for free and that sort of thing. And what that just showed was, hey, somebody coming in to buy a business, they have common sense. They can look at it and understand, okay, if we change this, if we scale back this, if we cut back here, if we use economies of scale to reduce our costs here, how much does that create for us? And that is how people are going to be analyzing your business. And again, their perspective is going to be based on who they are and where they're coming from and what their plan is with the business. So again, it really is worth whatever somebody will pay you for it. And, these thoughts, I think, help you reverse engineer who may be interested in buying your business, because you can say, well, okay, I may be weak in this area, but we're really strong in this area, and say, who would find most value in that strength? So for example, if you say, we have really weak systems in place, well, then going to a company that has strong systems in place, you have some value, because you could say, look how great we're doing with no systems in place. What if you put your systems in place? How much better could you do? And if you had a lot of systems in place, then you may look to a company and say, by acquiring us, you're not acquiring just a company. You're acquiring our systems. And when you apply those systems to your own company, how much will you be able to grow and learn from it, and so on. So, that's why I keep insisting it's up to who's buying it to value your business. And you have to look at what is their angle. Like, why do they want it? Where are they going to be valued? Where are they going to get value from it? And try to, put your business in front of somebody who is going to be able to maximize the value out of it, who's going to get the most out of it. So I'll give you kind of a unique example. Okay, my business specifically, we had a lot of installers. We had a great installation team. We probably had 8 or 9 installers that worked for us, just installing flat glass film 6 days a week, 5 days a week, or 7 days a week. And that team, just having that team, just the fact that they worked for us, provided value when it came time to buying us, because getting good installers is not easy, right? For sure not. So if you can buy a company that has a great installation team already, you're also buying that hiring process, that training process, that vetting process. You're buying that they worked for this company for years and they have positive reviews and they know how to use the systems and so on. So your staff, and if you have a staff, don't have a staff, if they're trained, if they're not trained, if they answer to you, or if they answer within a system that's in place, those things have value uniquely on your own. So somebody who's growing at a very fast pace and says, man, if I could just get more installers, we could rule the world. Well, that company is going to want to pay you more for your company if you say, look, we may not have great systems in place, or we may not have this or that, but what we do have is an installation team that can propel your business and so on. So there's endless angles that you can kind of go at to figure out who's going to be a good buyer for your type of business, how much is your business worth, and how can you increase value in your business. John asked, what Tint Wiz updates do we have coming? So, random, obviously, note there, which I will definitely answer right now. If I pass out, it's just from talking. I feel like I need to try and remind myself to breathe and drink because I get too excited. So, to answer John's question, what you saw over this week is there was actually a bunch of little updates that rolled out throughout Tint Wiz. Some things in inventory, like in inventory, you can weigh your film and know how much film's left in it. And there's a little additional tracking in the history you'll see now. Instead of just showing like when the check in and check out, you see the history of how much the film weighed and so on, but you see some more records like how much film's in it and so on. Some other small updates that rolled out this week. The little ones, they just have them in my phone. And let me reference, but one of the big ones that you're going to see this weekend rolling out, I'm extremely excited about. I can tell you, I already know that this one update this weekend that you'll have in there by Monday will guaranteed be the most talked about feature over the next week. And I can guarantee if you're using Tint Wiz now, you might send us a thank you or just post like, thank God finally. Because it is something that I know a lot of people have requested, and I'm really, really happy that it's there. And that is in Tint Wiz, in your services and in your proposals. So as you create different services and proposals, you're going to be able to save those services and proposals for future use. So what I'm saying is, you'll be able to go in and say, let's say I'm going to create a service for ceramic coating, and these are my good, better, best, and I'm going to save the different services at this price, and I'm going to create proposals, multiple types of proposals for a service. So think of it this way. You have a service. Service could be window film, paint protection, ceramic coating. You can put other and create your own services. You'll be able to save those services right then and there. Then when you create proposals for those services, you're going to be able to create like solutions, good, better, best, and whatever you want to do. You can do that now, but you'll be able to save those as reusable proposals. So you're going to be able to reuse your solutions. You're going to be able to reuse your proposals. That's going to be in flat glass and automotive, and you're going to see that over the weekend. So what that's going to let you do is really go in there, set all of your different scenarios that you ever run into. I mean, you'll be able to set a service. This is just for Teslas, and every Tesla gets these options. And then if somebody wants ceramic coating, it's these options. If I want to send them everything, it's this. For tint, it's good, better, best, or whatever. You're going to be able to save pictures within those proposals for future use. So once you upload your pictures into your services and to your proposals, you're not going to have to necessarily redo that. Now, you can edit that every single time if you want. So you'll always be able to flexibly edit it on the go, but it's saved for future use. So you'll be able to kind of build out all your services and with a click do that. You can do that for anything. It eliminates the copy paste. It saves you it's fast as it is. It is, but it's going to get way faster now. And also, I know because it's faster and it's systematized, it will improve the quality of your proposals. So you'll be able to now make sure if you're not including pictures on every one of your proposals, well, you can set them up ahead of time, and now everyone will have pictures, you can, and so on. So the point is, by the comments, you can see, obviously, that there's some happy people that, and I'm happy myself about it as well. And that is coming over the weekend, and that's one of the bigger updates. Smaller updates, check in and check out. That's another one we did over the week, over this week. Just small things like when you check in and check out now, you'll see a log of who actually clicked the button, which is just, there's these little things that we just, they're requested by users and so on, or we notice them either way. And they, I just feel like they're not worth announcing, but you see them as you do it. And we're constantly doing those little things. These bigger features, we'll send out an email as soon as those canned proposals and canned services are live. And we'll also have a Facebook post with a video and a YouTube video reinforcing it so that you can know as soon as it is live. So Cody asked about the pictures and the decimals. So Cody, the issue you have with pictures, I believe it's from your Android device. It's very specific to those Android, like to certain Android devices. And I believe if I remember what it is like when you go to take a picture, the way it's opening your camera roll is not necessarily ideal. If it's not giving you the option, I think, to either look through your camera roll or it's giving you that option not to take pictures. Okay, here's the deal. There are always going to be things that change within operating systems and so on. That is part of the reason why creating a software is not just like build it and use it forever. It's constantly, there's things that are changing. There's things that are changing in Google's API, which connects with Tint Wiz. And there's things that change with Android's operating system, and Apple's operating system. And with every single update that comes to Apple or Android, you can expect an update that has to come to Tint Wiz for certain little things that they change. Now, that's not a problem, but sometimes they can be these little things that you find on your specific phone or whatever it is that maybe aren't working ideal. It's the reality of it. And what we have done is over the last few weeks, we've actually bought a ton of different Android phones and devices so that we could actually hands-on, not just using simulators, not just using like code, but we can hands-on use the exact same phone, Cody, that you're using and so on. So we are digging deep into that. You know, as far as the decimals go, I have the notes on that one as well, but I can't address that one right now. Again, these are some things that affect a small amount of users. I definitely appreciate when you bring it up. You know, we ran into something this week where we had a user and their browser was auto-completing over the field, and they were clicking their autocomplete, but they weren't clicking into Tint Wiz, they're clicking into their autocomplete. Now, whose fault is that? Is that the browser's fault? Is that Tint Wiz's fault? Is it the user's fault? It's nobody's fault. But what we can do is, number one, we can fix it right away by telling them, hey, just get rid of that autocomplete. That's the problem. That's how you can do it. Just close that little thing out. The next thing we can do is we can start move things around and how that autocomplete interacts with that specific browser and make those changes. So what I'm saying is, if you run into little things like that, it really is helpful when you come into support, you let us know in support. The reason why it's so helpful for you to let us know in support is when you let us know in support, our whole team sees it. It gets archived and indexed, okay? It goes into lists, and we knock out those situations. And if we can figure it out now, we do. And if we figure it out later down the road, we never lose track of it. We can also even see who has it affected, who has questioned it, who has reported back, even if it's a feature, who has asked about this feature. So when we release that, we're organized in a way that we can let you know about that, and we can make sure that nothing gets lost. Now, what happens is if you say, hey, what's up, Eric? And we're talking about the basketball game and whatnot, the tint off, and then you're like, hey, by the way, so-and-so and so-and-so in the app. I'm going to go, okay, that's awesome. I'm going to do my best to follow up with you and remember this, but I am human, and we're doing things outside of the system because you're not using the support and you're not using live chat. And I'm going to be frank, I may forget. Because if me and you are talking on the phone and you bring that up, hypothetically, I'm not talking about Cody, I'm talking in general. We're talking about something and this comes up, or it comes through my personal Facebook. I can tell you with certainty that is not, like, I don't mind. I'm going to do my best to help you. But you're going outside of our support, and that's not going to be a better solution for you. It's actually going to be a worse one. Because I'll tell you, some days I'll do 8-9 hours of training sessions in a row. That means I'm essentially tied up for 9 hours. For 9 hours, I don't stop talking. I don't breathe. I don't go to the bathroom. And I'm just talking and talking and talking. And what that means is if you send me a message with a question, I'm not going to get back to you for at least 9 hours. Now, after that 9 hours, I may fall asleep. That means now you don't hear back from me for 24 hours and so on. Now, the other way is if you would have gone into the live chat, there is somebody there, myself, somebody from the team. We're going to get back to you very quickly, and we're not going to forget, and you're going to get the best answer. And sometimes the best answer isn't coming from me. So if you ask me all the questions, then I have to ask sometimes my team. Because even if I think I know the answer, that's just not the way I am. I don't think I know everything. I want to know what I don't know. So I have to take that back to my team. Then I have to get back to you. And you can see this middleman stuff. You're familiar with it because it operates in your own business, middleman stuff. When you don't have systems in place, an installer, an employee, and people calling you and you forget, and why didn't you remember, and so on. And the point is, that's why there's Tint Wiz as a business, to avoid that shit from your head. And in Tint Wiz, that's why there's support, so that you can go into support, you can get an answer, you can get the most updated answer. So, truly, I don't know the best answer to your question right now, Cody, because I would have to look through our support. However, I can tell you that I do have team members who know exactly the best answer to your question. So I'm not picking on you, but this is kind of an example where we have set up our systems. Like if you say, does Tint Wiz, can I call Tint Wiz? I'm going to say, nope, there's no phone number. Go find a phone number and call Tint Wiz. You're not going to get Tint Wiz. There's no phone number. There won't be a phone number. I'll tell you why there won't be a phone number. Because if we provide a phone number, we will do a terrible, terrible job of being able to help you. Because how can we answer unlimited amount of people's phone calls at any point? We don't know when you're going to call. How can we answer it? What happens if we're not available? What happens if we're on the phone? What happens if the wait time becomes too long? What happens now we're on the phone? What can I even do for you? We're verbally talking. I can't show you anything. You can't show me anything. I'm limited. My hands are tied. Okay? So what phone support does in 2021 in an app is it actually will slow it down. It'll build up a lot of costs. I can, of course, hire people to answer your questions, and we can build out a team in a call center. We can get an office. We can hire those people. Sometimes you're going to get those people, and they're going to be new. So you're going to get a shitty experience. I'm sorry about that. I'll apologize in advance. You're also then going to need to pay for the rent on that place because someone needs to pay for it. And that means the app cannot be at such an amazing price of $100 a month, unlimited. So what I'm trying to say to you is the same way I talk about building out your own company and so on, I have these same challenges and these same thoughts within our company. And I try to lead by example. So what I mean by that is forcing systems in place that are for the greater good of the company. So what we've put in place is a live chat. Now that live chat is not just a bullshit live chat. That's a legit live chat. It's a live chat that you can simply go into your app, go to support and chat with us. Okay? You can schedule one-on-one training sessions from the app directly yourself. And you also have access to a help center in the support. Now, beyond that, your staff, your employees, your whoever, your new hires, they have access to us as well. So now it's not just a phone number to call. It's I'm on a consultation and I have a question. Who can I ask? You can ask us and we can answer that question just about 24 hours a day. And if it's something that's very priority, you're going to be sure that you're going to get a very quick answer. And if it's something that maybe isn't such a priority, we're going to make sure we get you the best answer as fast as possible. This is a way that we can make everyone happy, service everybody, and never lose track of an inquiry. Because sometimes we could get 20 or 30 inquiries in an hour with questions. That can happen. And others, there could be time. So you can see that, a phone support is just not going to be ideal. Now, but nobody asked for phone support. I'm just telling you. So Cody, yes, what I'm telling you is go to support. Everybody should go to support. Okay, because sometimes people will be like, I want to use Tint Wiz, but can we call so I know how to get started? You could call me when I'm available. I can call you, whatever we want to do here, and I can walk you through it. Or you can go to Tint Wiz. You're going to see register. You're going to use your email on your phone, and you're going to register yourself. Or you could even be more confused and go to support and ask us, how do I start? And you're going to find out how to start instantly, within seconds. And then you're going to know I have somebody in my pocket on my phone that can help me whenever I need, as opposed to, I don't want to bug Eric, but I have a question, so let me call him and let me see if he gets back to me. Man, I didn't hear from that guy Eric. He must be an asshole, and so on. And realistically, I'm just recovering from not breathing for hours while I talk too fast. Just kidding. But anyway, Tint Wiz needs Tint Wiz. Cody, you're right. Well, of course, as Tint Wiz grows, we have to put systems in place and so on. Look, an example of that beyond just the support is look at the shop. We created the shop because I can't, as Tint Wiz grows, be like, yeah, Cody, you want a hoodie? No problem. I'll send you a hoodie. You need a scale? Yeah. We've created a shop, and that shop allows Tint Wiz users to go in there. You can buy whatever you need. If you're a Tint Wiz user right now, it's completely free. Our entire shop is free to active Tint Wiz users. So what that means is you don't have to ask me, you don't have to bug me, you don't have to think you're bugging me, you don't have to feel like I don't want to, you don't have to feel anything. There's an easy system in place. So at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, if you're like, man, I would really like to get a Tint Wiz hoodie. I'd like to get a scale for my inventory system. I'd like to get some blue squeegees or purple squeegees rather, whatever it is. You can simply go to the shop, use the coupon code that's for Tint Wiz users, and if you don't have it, go to support and ask, and we'll give it to you, and you can check out. And if you're not a Tint Wiz user and you want to buy stuff, you can do that too. And there's really good prices in there and so on. So my point is, you are going to see systems build out, systems that give you the ability to do what you need to do whenever you need to do it in a easy way. Because what we don't want is to ever run into bottlenecks to where you go, man, it used to be really easy to get my questions answered, but now it takes forever. I have to make sure that never happens. And I have to make sure if you hire somebody new that we can onboard that person, we can help answer questions, we can do whatever we need to do for you in a very quick, reasonable amount of time. And again, we want, like, the key here is, look, we can make anything happen, right? But things take money. And one of the core principles of Tint Wiz is we want to be a cost-effective solution. Not just the best solution, not just the coolest, this or that or whatever, not whatever, but also cost-effective. So I don't want to be telling you why, oh, it's so much money, but it's worth so much and you get so much value and so on. I want it to be at that $100 a month price because I think that's a very reasonable price. It doesn't matter if you're a small business, a large business. As you grow, that price stays the same. And that's a foundation there. And to maintain that price, we have to maintain efficiency. You should take that same lesson. I don't mean you, Cody, or you specifically. I'm saying you, whoever's listening, take that same lesson to your business and understand that in your window film business or whatever your business is, the more efficient you can be, the more scalable you are, meaning the bigger you can grow, the more profitable you can be. So as you increase efficiency in your company, you start to increase profitability. If you can get 20 projects done with one admin person because you have a great system in place versus 20 projects done with 2 admins in place, you get to keep the money of that admin you don't need. So that's the concept of, or that's why, I really feel like it's one of those things. It's like, I want in Tint Wiz to not only provide tools for businesses, but I want to provide examples to how we can overcome challenges. So what I'm saying is how we solve our problems, I hope can help be, or challenges and hills and whatever they are, can help at least maybe be something that inspires how you solve yours. One example of that is, look, we try to deliver. If you are a Tint Wiz user, or even if you're not, even if you're maybe one day going to be, or maybe you're not even, or whatever it is, we want to over deliver. Meaning we want to, if you buy something from the shop, I want to send you double. I want to send you something extra. I want you, whatever experience you have with Tint Wiz, I want you to walk away from it saying, wow, that was more than I expected. Whether it be the app or whether it be a question or service, I want you to feel like you got more. And I want that because that's the right way to do business, but I want you to take that same principle and apply it to your business and say, how can I make my customers, whether they be car tint or home tint or paint protection or anything, how can I make every experience somebody has with our business be the most pleasurable, happiest one possible? Even if they don't turn into my customer, when can I be helpful? When can I answer their questions, even if they're not our customer and so on? When can I leave somebody who interacts with us to say, wow, this is an amazing business? Because if you set that as your North Star, if that's where your target is with every customer, then everything starts to work out. Reviews come in, you get more customers, you get higher prices for your services, you get people who understand the value in going with your company versus the shop down the street and so on. Samir asked about Carfax. So Carfax, definitely, there's a lot to build out. There's a lot to do. We have to put things in somewhat of an order of importance. And Carfax has definitely been on our list. It's something we've looked into. I can't say you're going to see Carfax integration right around the corner. I'll give you an example of something you may see right around the corner. The VIN scanning, one of our wonderful users has been kind of giving us some examples of what they're doing. And through our own research and so on, we feel like VIN scanning is probably going to be one of those things that come into Tint Wiz out of nowhere. But I don't have like an exact ETA. What I can tell you is coming, if we're going to talk about features, I don't want to get too far ahead. I can tell you that this year, I mean, this year is going to make last year, as far as anybody using Tint Wiz and what Tint Wiz is for you as a user, like change, like just, I'm telling you, we're going to talk a year from now, and it's going to be a different perspective for those who are using Tint Wiz. The tools and the add-ons that we're building in there at no additional cost, the ways things are going to come together are um, not things that I want to speak on. They're things I want to show, but they're not things that I've mentioned, and I know they're things that are just going to blow people away. And that's part of what I feel like with Tinwiz is, this is, look, when you're investing in a system, in a software, in a way to do business, this is a long-term bet for you, because it's not something that you want to switch from this to that to this to that and so on. So what I'm telling you is, Tinwiz, what today, tomorrow, and the next days and so on, it's only really bright features to come. Now, what's coming in like right around the corner that we can talk about is what I mentioned this weekend. This weekend, you're going to get the update to save services and save proposal types for future use. That's a huge one, huge time saver. What you're going to get within a couple weeks, and I know I've been saying that probably for a little while now, at least a couple weeks, is a cut sheet. Cut sheet for flat glass already done, coming very shortly. We're adding some additional permissions right around the corner as well. Those things are like, you know, weeks away, days away, weeks away, and so on. The exciting stuff, I want to hold off on saying, because I can sit here and talk about all the things we have envisioned and what order I think they're going to come out in, but truly they're going to come out in the order that hopefully works best for everybody else. And ultimately, whatever works, like we want to revise and revise. So when something new is in Tint Wiz, it's perfect and it works together and it's in the right order and so on, because it's not about adding features and adding features. It's about making things work together. So kind of something that I like to work in analogies, and like if we looked at, let's say, a Tesla Model 3, right? And let's pretend for a second, for those who don't like Teslas, that you do. So what I'm saying is, if you've been in a Tesla Model 3 or any Tesla, but let's say Model 3, because I'm familiar with the Model 3 specifically. If you get in there, you're going to say, wow, this is so simple. The dashboard is so simple. There's no big screen. This is not what I'm used to. And as you start to drive it, you're going to feel like, wow, there's less buttons. There's less this, there's less that. Now, if I was to say, well, what features does the Tesla Model 3 have? Well, of course you can mention, well, there's self-driving capabilities and there's cameras and so on. But aren't some of the features just simply how the car works together? So an example, the door handles. As you walk up and they're unlocked and they're recessed into the door. As the simplicity of your dash, the way your air vents can change and to redirect air, the way everything's controlled from your screen. I mean, as you're using the car and you're getting in and out of it, just walking up to it, those are things that, like, what are you going to say? Well, it has keyless entry. Yeah, no shit. Every other car does too. But what I'm simply saying is part of Tint Wiz, the sauce to it is how things work together. So you don't want to look at it like, well, this feature, this feature, this feature. Certainly there's features. You want those features there, but you've got to you really see the magic unlock when you say, let me go from lead to invoice, and let's see how flawless, how smooth that process can be, and not have to go from here to here, retype that, send that to this person, contact them, email this, save that here, refer notes here, look for pictures there, and then invoice here. That's that kind of shenanigans. Yeah, the features are all there, but if you're doing it in 10 systems, and you get what I'm saying. Ha said, Tint Wiz in my current POS system doesn't work together. Can we make it work together? So, okay, one of the POS updates that you're going to see, and one of the updates that I'm confident in talking about, you're going to see it before today gets too busy for it. You're going to see it this year before anybody gets too busy. You're going to see it at the very, very beginning of spring. That's a real date. And part of that is going to be a built-in POS system into Tint Wiz that comes together with potential, like if you want, you can offer self-scheduling. Customers will be able to schedule on your website. It'll be integrated in your calendar. That POS system and self-scheduling works together so that if you want to ask for payment or you want to ask for a deposit, and you can do that all automatically through there. You can imagine then you say, well, with scheduling, there has to be a lot of variables and availability and so on. All that's going to be in there. And you can imagine that now, if you're enabling self-scheduling, you almost have to work in your products and services so you can see how now that starts to work together and so on. So Whether you use self-scheduling or not, it actually is part of even a bigger picture. So everything I just said is actually part of a bigger feature that I can't talk about, but is a freaking huge, huge, huge benefit to being, you're going to just see. You're just going to see. It's something we've been working on for over a year. And you can, by kind of, hopefully by that example, you can understand that features can't just go out on their own. Sometimes they need to be tied in with other things and bigger pictures and different orders. But I can assure you that, you know, it's coming. They're coming in great ways. And there's a lot of things that I think nobody's even thought about. I feel really good about saying that because I barely have thought about it. No, I'm just kidding. But they're unique features. They're things that are out of this industry and out of things that maybe somebody would expect that are going to be really, really valuable and powerful. And yeah. So how deposits work. So with that built-in POS system, you know, it's going to take minimal effort on your part to set up, meaning like you're not going to have to integrate anything from Tint Wiz. You'll just be able to fill out basically a sign up, and then you're going to have, it's basically an integrated credit card processing system. And then from there, if you use the self-scheduling feature, you'll be able to decide when they schedule. Do they have to pay? If they have to pay, is it the full amount? Is it a percentage? Is it a fixed amount? And so on. And that's it. I mean, I can say it's going to be very integrated. It's going to be very flexible, whether you use it or not. It's part of a bigger feature that you'll find value in, but also it's going to make it easier for tint shops to use Tint Wiz. It's just, I don't need to potentially use Square or use something else or connect it and so on, because, you know, if you say, well, can you connect this? Can you connect that? Of course we can connect it. We can connect a million different things to Tint Wiz. However, understand that while you connect all these things, what happens when you connect ABC processor that only John in Missouri uses, and then that ABC processor changes something. Every time somebody changes something, you can imagine the chaos that could potentially happen. So the point is, how we build these things out, how we try to simplify is important. And all I'm saying is, ask the questions. They help. I love to talk about it, obviously, but at the same time, there is kind of an aspect of like, I'll just tell you, it's coming. It's going to work. It's going to be awesome. And we're always going to try and like exceed your expectations in there. And then so John mentioned, and I just kind of want to bring this up because I come across this in demos, and like I understand where shops will see the allure in trying to do self-scheduling. Okay, and trying to do self-scheduling, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to use Acuity for that, but I'll also use Facebook, or maybe I'll use Square and Facebook, and what about this, and what happens when somebody comes in over here? And what happens is you end up with this really fucking complicated scenario. And what I try to instill in everybody is, I understand that you're like, not you, I'm not talking about John specifically, but I really, really, really feel strongly about this because I've seen the other end of it. I've seen shops that implement self-scheduling and they fuck themselves. And excuse my language, but I mean it. I really want to drive this point home because it's not just about self-scheduling. It's about when you build out things that are meant to try to simplify your business and you start aiming in the wrong direction, you create things that then become their own problem, and their own problem that didn't need to exist. So I know I'm getting riled up here, but let me explain. So look, I just discussed we're adding self-scheduling to Tint Wiz, and there's a reason for it and so on. But part of the solution, part of the issue that we're going to solve with that in Tint Wiz that is not being solved by anybody else's self-scheduling that I'm aware of is the ability to properly sell a customer while they're self-scheduling. So what that means is, if you give somebody the option to see your prices and schedule themselves, what happens when they look at their menu and they say, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to look around, and they click off? Let me ask you, did you capture their information? I'm not saying specific to John, because John is very intricate and a very smart gentleman, and probably the answer to John is yes, he captured their information. But what I'm talking about is on the general scope. If you're thinking about self-scheduling or you have it in place, you have to first answer that question. Did you capture their information? Do you even know that person existed? Because ultimately, what can tend to happen is you start to get these customers bouncing back from your services, and you say, well, that's fine. Those aren't my customers. And I challenge you there and say, They might be your customers. Maybe they're your customers, but you haven't had a chance to interact with them. Maybe you haven't been able to show them why you're there, why they should pay those prices, why they should come to you, and so on. Maybe you haven't been able to show that from the menu that you're offering on self-scheduling. Now, the question, if we go back, why did you want to self-schedule in the first place? Because it became super freaking tedious to answer a million people's freaking price quotes, and at the end of the day, you don't even sell that many of these people. You're just answering quotes all day. It's annoying as heck, and you want to improve the efficiency. So that's why you went in that direction. And my point is, a lot of companies that we evaluate this in the training sessions and so on see that there's actually a benefit instead to use lead forms, which is a feature in Tint Wiz, to get the customer into Tint Wiz. From then, every customer can get a digital quote from Tint Wiz, and from there, everybody's able to see the status, follow up, and so on. That customer, instead of having an experience where they schedule themselves, they're having an experience where they're potentially seeing a detailed quote. They're seeing upsells. They're seeing pictures of other vehicles that you've done that are similar or other homes. They're seeing information on the specific films, and you're able to now know who that person is, resend them quotes, follow up with them, and so on. You're putting everybody into your system, and then you're able to do with them as you want. If you want to retarget to them, whether they become your customer or not, you can retarget, you can market, you can create CSV exports. You can do so freaking much. But really, the important part is get that customer in, and then you can move them along. And in John's case, I am right. He said he does capture their information, and he does have a system in place, which I know is very intricate. But I will say, I don't think many people have a system in place that's so intricate. And I will say also that intricate stuff the wheels can fall off over time, or it can be complicated, or things can change, or you can reach for a feature that's not there and you feel like, wow, I built out all this other stuff. How can I now change? And that's where I'm just simply saying self-scheduling is not all it's cracked up to be at this stage, because you don't want to find yourself saying, wow, it's slow. Wow, we need more marketing. Wow, wow, wow. And at the end of the day, what happened is you're missing out on the fundamental. And the fundamental is talking to these people or being able to send them a quote, a digital quote that's beautiful, being able to put your touch on your business, being able to show them, hey, this is why we're different. Okay, this is why you want to use us. These are the pictures and so on. So I'm not talking bad about self-scheduling. It's a feature that we're very excited that we've worked very hard to be in, very hard to get into Tint Wiz. It'll be here in the spring. It'll be way more than just a self-scheduling feature in there, and I'm excited about it. But I also want to say that as a general thought, everybody's guilty of this at some point. I feel like sometimes you can chase creating a solution for a problem when you didn't actually need that problem to exist in the first place. And you don't want to be chasing solutions for problems that you can eliminate, because that's the epitome of inefficiency, essentially. So that is that. Now, another example, real quick, of a workflow that's really cool in Tint Wiz, it's just a very quick shift, is if you use lead forms in Tint Wiz, you can customize those lead forms, put them on your website, and ask all the questions that you may want to ask somebody. And having those questions on your lead form, instead of having name, email, phone, and message, if you have name, email, phone, what services are you interested? What are you looking to accomplish? Are you also interested in these other services? You're giving them a customized form. What's the year, make, and model of your vehicle? What's your address? When would you prefer an appointment? You can build all those out in lead forms. When a customer fills that out and submits their information, now you know a lot about that customer. So the customer is more likely to fill it out because it was in the lead form, because it's a form that feels like there's value. They're going to get a quote at the end. There's a reason. General lead forms, they might be like, who knows if the company even looks at these? But customized lead forms tend to get a bigger response. That could save that customer from calling you and interrupting you. And instead, that lead can go straight into Tint Wiz. And then what you can do is potentially you either contact them instantly, or the shift in workflow is, since you know what they want from their answers on the lead form, you can create a project. You can create a quote, you can send them a quote, and then you can call them and talk to them about the quote you've already created for them. So you imagine that you can now say, hey, we got your inquiry 5 minutes ago, and we sent you a quote, and we wanted to take a chance to go over that quote with you and show you our options. Now you can go over that quote together and schedule them. And that little shift in workflow is way different than if you contact them and you say, hey, we saw your name and email. What are you interested in? Or we got your inquiry. What are you interested in? Okay, great. I'll get you a quote. And we hang up the phone. It's just like do it a different direction. And it's a different experience. It's a different workflow. And it's something that maybe you don't do every time, but like it's definitely a game changer. I'm telling you, it's a game changer, and you have to try it. And these are the kind of things where like I just want to emphasize, don't get caught up on certain ways you do things. Don't get caught up on certain problems you're trying to fix. Try to always be able to take a step back and go, am I overcomplicating this? That's all I'm saying. Is there an easier way? Okay, if you're having to send information from here to another staff member and that they have to do something and send it back, well, what if that information exists in one place that you all have access to? How much does that change? How many things then don't happen because of that then change efficiency, which ultimately changes profitability? So we got off the topic of selling your business, but I hope we answered that a little bit. And I'll close that out. And I don't know, maybe this is a good place to stop for the evening. I don't know. Could be. And lead forms can be used on your website. They can be shared as their own link, meaning a lead form can be its own web page. So it can be a landing page. So a little trick that some people are doing as well, which I think is awesome, is, you know how many hopefully you get a lot of Facebook inquiries, right? And people are like, hey, I'm interested in pricing and so on. Now, there is a way to let them go through Facebook and automate their questions and auto respond to them and even quote them. And I've seen some really, really nice applications of that where you're auto responding to through Facebook. But what I will say is something that's very simple and very effective is simply create an autoresponder from your Facebook messages. And in that autoresponder, simply just say welcome or thank you for contacting us. Please use this form to get a quote and link them to a specific Tint Wiz lead form that you created for Facebook users. And simply, when people inquire on Facebook, instead of having to remember to go into your messages and answer back and ask questions and go back and forth and this and that, just simply they'll have to fill out that form. That lead is in Tint Wiz. You have your questions answered. And again, you can now send them a quote and contact them versus going back and forth in Facebook, back and forth. And it's just, again, it's one of those things. It's not a big deal to answer your Facebook messages, but wouldn't it be easier to kind of have a system where everybody is, and then you're managing them all in there? You can go into your quotes and proposals and see what's out there. Who do I need to resend? Who's approved it? Who has not approved it? And all these things versus going like, shit, did I check my Facebook messages? This guy responded 3 hours ago. Now he went with another company and so on. So all those little time savers, getting things in one place, at the end of the day, you're looking at a net savings in efficiency and in the work you put, the time you put, and so on. And on that subject, I just want to say, if you're a one-person window tinter and you're thinking, I don't need Tint Wiz, I'm just one person, you're wrong, because Tint Wiz will expand. It'll multiply what one person can do. It'll minimize the time it takes you to do things to maximize the time you have, because you only have one person, right? You only have 24 hours. Some of those are for sleep. Some of those are for work. And you need to be able to do the most you can do. So even as one person, by maximizing your efficiency, you're maximizing your own time. So it is important as a one person. And then as you go to a team, of course, now you have intercommunication. There's more and more reason to be on a system, because as you have a team, you need that sort of communication and workflow and systems in place and so on. But even as one person, you're absolutely nuts if you think that one person doesn't need something like this, because it's how do you multiply that one person without hiring somebody? That's how you do it. Joshua Reeves says still do one-on-one for it. Yeah, so you can go into your settings and you can go into support. You can go into support from the app or from the desktop, from like the website or from the app. Go to support, scroll down below live chat. You're going to see schedule a one-on-one training session. You can schedule those one-on-one training sessions anytime you want, as many as you want, and so on. That's kind of something that I will say, like, we are getting more and more booked, and availability starts to diminish. So what I'm saying is there's always an early first mover advantage. If you start using something now, you're taking advantage of less people using it, it being new to the world. It's not something that's been seen and heard of, and these practices aren't, it's brand new. So, as you move down the life cycle and time passes, there's always new things to provide value, but maybe a digital quote becomes a standard for the industry. So if you say, well, I'm going to adopt digital quoting now, you could be the one that is selling everybody because they're impressed with your professional quotes. Now, if you adopt it 2 years from now when everybody's doing it, then something you now adopted just because of the time it took you to adopt has kind of lost its value. It's become a necessity versus an asset for you. So, it's kind of like Facebook. If you were on Facebook marketing your business 10 years ago, there was a certain advantage to being there first. If you're there now, the landscape has changed. Of course, there's opportunity, but it's changed what it looks like. Another example of that would be Nextdoor. Nextdoor app, if you're looking to market your tint business, Nextdoor app's a beautiful place, and it has value now. I can guarantee that same value won't be there 10 years from now. Same way Yelp. Yelp had its value. Its value is kind of diminished. Craigslist had its value. Where's Craigslist value now compared to where it was, what you could accomplish on Craigslist 15 years ago? So there is always a first mover advantage. I saw Haas had a comment. He said, my only problem with cold proposals is there isn't a say to do scheduling. I still have to call or email to set a date, but that's not a problem. You have to interact with the customers. We're not trying to not interact with the customers. What you're trying to do is send them a proposal and then call them and then contact them. And you can put notes at the bottom of the proposal. You can do whatever you need to do. But it's not about not contacting. It's about selling the most amount of the contacts for the most amount of money with the least amount of work. But don't think that, the hammer still needs someone to swing it. You can get a circular saw, but it's not going to build the house for you. But as you have these tools, you're able to do more with them. So you want to use them to your advantage. Send the quote, then call the customer. That's better than calling the customer and then sending the quote, or calling the customer and never sending them a quote. That's the point. It's not about total hands off. It's not about, does this thing eliminate the need for me? It's about, how can I make it better? How can I get the most out of it? So, if you're sick of answering calls and giving people quotes and then hanging up the phone on you, well, how about you try the reverse? Send them a quote and then call them. Or how about you let them hang up on you and send them a quote, and how many of those people will end up scheduling with you? That's the thing. It's not about, I don't want to talk to these people on the phone anymore. How do I not answer the phone? It's about, how do I answer the phone, but change what happens after I answer the phone. That's the thing. And that's where sometimes it can be focus can become too much on eliminating something, where it's not about eliminating. It's a matter of, what's the problem? The problem's not you not wanting to answer the phone. That's not really the problem. The problem is you don't feel it's worth you answering the phone. The problem is every time you answer the phone, you kind of feel like it's a waste of your damn time. And very rarely somebody's actually willing to give you the time of day. So now the question is, how can we change that whole experience so that when you answer the phone, you're happy to answer the phone, because that's going to mean money for you. And then how can we say, well, instead of that person dialing that phone, can we give them an alternate way to contact you that's more convenient for you? That's a lead form. And then we say, well, what happens after the lead form? Can we give them a more convenient way for you to give them a quote instead of just calling them and talking? Because calling and talking is up here. And I'll tell you, we all know window film. So when we're explaining it to a customer, we think the customer's listening. We think the customer's understanding. I will tell you, most of the time, I am certain in this, 99% of the time, the customer has no fucking idea what you're talking about. They're not listening. They're glazed over. They don't understand most of the words you use. They don't really get it. And they're trying to understand bits and pieces, whatever is going to click in their mind, whether it be the price or the timing or something they're familiar with. But most of the time, they don't know what the hell you're talking about. So when you're able to give them a visual, something in their phone and or email that they're able to look at and understand with you, and then potentially you're even able to go over it with them, you're changing it. You're changing it. Customers who maybe would have never considered you end up going with you. Okay? Customers who, maybe thought your price was too expensive and called around to get other quotes for their home or for their car, whatever, go, well, damn, now I see there's other options and this is the only one that's professional. The other guy wouldn't even give me the dimensions. The other guy wouldn't even give me a quote that had anything on it. It was all scribbled. He wouldn't show me the scope of work. It didn't have pictures on there. People are buying trust. They're buying experience. So you can't devalue that experience and those opportunities to give them trust. Okay, so you have to earn their trust. You can't strip away every time you can earn their trust, because then you're going to wonder, well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is you stripped away the freaking date. You stripped away the get to know each other. So, just reevaluate it. That's all I'm saying. And like Wayne Willis said, I'd rather text than call somebody. Me too for sure. So an example can be like, you can put in there like on that lead form, hey, do you prefer a text, call, or email? Why don't you ask them and make them pick which one they prefer? And then if they prefer text, you're not going to call them. You're going to text them. And if they prefer email, send them an email. You're not going to call them. And if they prefer call, you're not going to send them a text. Because I'll tell you, there's still people out there who like phone calls. And if somebody wants a phone call and you send them a text, again, a percentage of those people are going to just dismiss you because they're just not used to texting. If you send it to their email and their email is a sloppy hunk of shit and it's a mess and it went to their spam and they get 89 emails a day in there anyway, then don't expect them to see your email. So that's the kind of concept where if you ask them what their preference, or you just send it to their text and email together through Tint Wiz automatically, you're saving yourself some time. And then on top of that, you can see if they view it or they don't view it. So if you send it and they didn't view it, hey, we need to call. We need to fucking do something about this because they didn't even view their proposal. And if they did view it, when you can follow up. If they didn't view it, you can resend it. I mean, there's just unlimited ways that you can start to handle the business, but you need to be able to take it in with an open mind of let's get back to simplifying. I need leads. I need to know who my leads are, and I need them in one place so I can respond to them fast and effectively. So just the fact that a lead comes into Tint Wiz directly, you get an app notification on your phone. So the app will pop up on your phone, like literally like an app notification, and you can just tap it. And when you tap it to your phone, you're going to instantly be looking at that lead. You can tap the phone number, you can tap the email address, or whatever you need to do. You can send a quote. And my point is, you're going to be responding to that customer in 3 seconds. Now, let's take another scenario. It goes to your email. You have to check your email. You have to dial that phone number. Hopefully you can click it in your email. If not, you're going to dial it. And you're going to try to remember it maybe and whatnot. After you dial it, which already took you dialing, and think about how many leads come in a day. So I'm talking shit about dialing, okay? I'm really talking shit about dialing because let's just say you get 10, 20 inquiries a day. How many times do you have to copy and paste an email? How many times do you have to click and dial? All those things that can be straight into Tinters for you, you hit call and you're done. And as you create scenarios in front of you, you're going to lose customers for reason that you're not even aware of. So one of those reasons can be it took you 45 minutes to get back to the customer, but the other company, they responded within 10 seconds. That's going to lose you a customer or 2 out of 20. It's going to happen. I'll tell you, cars and flat glass and everything, that's going to happen. The faster you can get that quote scheduled for a consult, the faster you can get them a quote for their car and so on, the faster you can get back to them, you're going to win some just on speed. So by not being fast, you're eliminating that off the top. And now there's all these different factors that you're going to try and win on. But every time every time you don't take advantage of one of those things, like sending them a digital quote, like responding fast, like following up and resending things and so on, when you don't do that, you're chopping off those people who may have gone with you. And at the end, you may go, man, I need more business. I need to get more marketing. I need more ads, do Facebook ads, work on all these things. And it's like, hold on a second. We're looking in the wrong direction because we forgot about all this shit we had going for us because we kind of fucking screwed with it too much and we didn't just do what we need to do. And now we're over here headed in this direction thinking marketing's our issue or I need a all these things. And again, then we go, well, why weren't you doing these things to begin with? And the answer is because it was too time consuming. And I get it. It's too time consuming and tedious. If you have to create a proposal for a customer in an Excel spreadsheet, that's going to be too time consuming. There's no way. And there's reasons. So Tint Wiz can help eliminate some of those reasons. And sometimes there's going to be something where you're like, man, this is repetitive. I have to do this all the time. But most of the time you're going to go, oh, wow, that just eliminated a lot. I'm no longer retyping invoices. I'm no longer emailing things. When a customer calls, I can pull up that customer in 3 seconds. I don't have to check here, open that, slow loading, this and that. It's 3 seconds. What do you need? I'm looking at your project. I'm looking at your pictures. What do you need? And so on. And that's the things that sometimes I think sometimes people miss, and they're like, I'm scheduling, I'm happy how I am doing it, and so on. But you're checking your email, you're going into Outlook, into Google Calendar, then you're going to your email again, then you're sending text messages, and you're doing all these things. And then let me ask you, what value do you have a year or two from now from those experiences? Are you really able to pull up those customers? Are you able to pull up the pictures and videos and use them for sales? Or is that shit gone? And now you're just like, how quickly can you reference a customer from 2 years ago who says, I have a question. I broke my window. I need to know the shade of film you put on my passenger window. It can be 2 seconds or it can be an hour. It can be, I have it right here. And they go, that's insane. I don't know how you knew that. I never thought a tint company would keep such good records. Thank you. Or it can be, all right, can you call me back? I really need to know. And you're like, yeah, at the end of the day, I guess I'm going to go try and figure this shit out and look through my text message. I'm just saying, there's a million ways that you can change your future experiences and who you consider is a pain in the ass and all these different things. There's ways you can change that future, but it does take an open mind sometimes, and it does take kind of a reevaluation of how you do things. And with that said, you can still do things how you want, even if you use Tint Wiz and you want to be complicated. We try to make it flexible, so if you want to be complicated, we can allow for that as well. Because at the end of the day, we want to steer users into best practices. So something you're getting in Tint Wiz, you go into Salesforce, it's complicated, you set it up and so on, but there's nothing in there for, well, how do I figure out square footage? How do I figure out linear footage on a job? What films are out there? I'll give you an example. You can go into Tint Wiz and say, I need to quote a gold reflective film. You can go into your proposals and type in gold, and you're going to see a list of every freaking film manufacturer and the film that matches gold. So you can literally find out about films you need to quote in Tint Wiz, whereas those resources aren't available in other general CRMs. And then again, the next thing that I want to point out is, what is the time involved in there? If I'm at a job and I need to quote security film, I can look into Tint Wiz and see what security films there are in there. I can read about them based on the description. I can educate myself on the film that exists that I can quote the customer, as opposed to me saying, shit, I don't know anything about this, and I need to go home, I need to do research, I need to ask on Facebook, I need to go to my manufacturer, and so on. There's endless little ways to save time, and that time is valuable. We're all going to freaking die, unfortunately. I hate to say it like that, and that's not how I want to close this Tint Wiz, but I really take my life, your life, every minute, all the time really seriously, because I only get one set of 20s. I don't get my 20s again. My 20s have passed and they're gone, and now I'm in my 30s and they're almost past, and and now I'm going to be in my 40s. And what I'm saying is, I value my own time. I want to be effective. I want to make the most impact to the industry and to users and to coworkers and to everybody. And I want to enable, but I can do that by enabling shops to be able to do that as well for their own business. Like, that's exciting to me. I value your time. I want you to use it effectively. I want you to I want to be able to shift somebody, and they say, if we, those cartoons where they're like, what if something had changed, and they show you your life, if something just changed a little bit, right? And I want, if maybe we can replay this at the end of life, we could say, this is what life would have been with, and this is what the industry would have been like, and this is what this person's life and this person's business, all these little things. And because of Tint Wiz, it changed that for the better. And I'm not trying to be sappy and say like how ways, but maybe they expanded their business. Maybe somebody who wasn't going to be in business is in business. Maybe they were potentially going to go out of business. They're able to be in business. Maybe they were successful and they wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not saying you need it to be successful, but I'm hoping that we can make a really positive impact. And that's what I think we're doing together as a group. And that's some of the exciting stuff that is really down the road, where being a Tint Wiz user, you'll be able to contribute and have value from the other Tint Wiz users within the community. I can't get too much into that, but it's definitely coming. I'm really excited about it. Mary asked, you could go to search gold right now, and that's what happened. So if you were, let's say, going to create a proposal for a customer, so you go into proposals, you go into your solutions. Right then and there, you can pick a film type and you can search by keywords. You could just type in gold, and every film that has gold in it is going to show you as an option. Now, another place you could go is go into your inventory area. Now, in inventory, you're not going to have any films in inventory, but if you go to film types, you're going to see every film already in there preloaded, all the brands, all the shades, hopefully, and all the manufacturers. And if you see something that's missing, let us know, and we're always working to improve that database and so on. But what I'm saying is you can go into your inventory and you can search all the different films, all the different shades they come in, all the different brands and series that exist, and you can read descriptions on them, and you can actually educate yourself on films just from the inventory area of your own Tint Wiz, just from when you sign up. So signing up's an email and a password. From there, you could head straight into your inventory and search film types on the third tab over, and you can now look at every 3M film, every Vista and Formula One, every Veloce Expel, Autobahn, GeoShield, Solar FX, I mean, and the list goes on and on. We have somewhere about 2,600 films and shade variations, and we have about 60-70% of them with descriptions already in there, and that's something that's only going to continue to be built out. John Amos said, or Ames, John Ames said, when, I said like John Stamos, John Amos said, when are you going to add Amazon tint? So I assume you mean tint from Amazon, like the website. So since that's a do-it-yourself option, Tint Wiz is not so much a do-it-yourself option. Probably not going like a do-it-yourself. Like no homeowner is going to be like, I need tint for my house. Let me get Tint Wiz. They're just going to get tint and fail at installing it and then call you. But the point is, these canned proposals and solutions will also allow you to save custom solutions for custom films, whether it be something that's not in the Tint Wiz database or something you private label for yourself. This also now starts to enable you to put those things in there and reuse them. And I know you're saying you forgot to laugh, but it's a very valid question. I know you're maybe joking, but that is definitely a concept that's going to be solved now, regardless of the film or service or product. So even if you're going to be adding like a alarm to your services, you can add that one time, and then every time you go to quote it and so on, that's going to be in there with your descriptions and so on. So we're approaching the 2-hour mark. So maybe this is a good time to cut us off. Okay, 2 things before I let you go. If you made it this far, just listen a little bit longer, because these are things that are going to provide you with free stuff. First and foremost, for anybody who missed the beginning, tomorrow in the Window Film Revolution, we are going to be doing a giveaway. Look for a post with that image in the giveaway, and then you have to be one of the first people to do what the post says and reply. It'll only take a second, and you're going to win some free hoodies. It's not a raffle. If you just are there first and you do it, you know you want a hoodie, and that's that. And we're going to give away a group of, like a bunch of hoodies. So it's not just going to be one winner. But anyway, keep an eye out for that post. Now, the other thing is we are working on a giveaway, and it's a big giveaway. And we haven't ironed out. Okay, Cato asked for the signs. There's the sign. The giveaway. We are trying to plan this really big giveaway. And we're working with, like, I don't want to give away too much, but it's a really big giveaway. So the giveaway value is it's more than my first car cost. Okay, I'll tell you that. And it was in the thousands. My first car, I think, was like $1,500 or so. This giveaway is multiple times more than that. And it's going to be a one giveaway. So there's going to be one winner. And you are going to completely decide if you are the winner or not. It's not going to be a raffle. It's not going to be like anything like that. You'll have control over it. So all I can say is the giveaway's value is over $5,000. It's going to one Tint Wiz user. You have to be a Tint Wiz user to win it. There's no possible way that you're even going to be able to enter this thing if you're not a Tint Wiz user. And I can say, because I'm trying to not give it away, but I'm trying to I want to ensure that I want to arm you with the things you need to win it. So we're not talking about the hoodie giveaway. We're talking about the hoodie giveaway, WFR tomorrow. You can win. I'm going to post it somewhere around noon, like in between noons on time zones. But the big giveaway, $5,000 plus, as far as something, it's something every tint shop's going to want. I don't think there's going to be anybody who's unhappy to win this. You could potentially sell it if you don't want it. And you'll have thousands of dollars. Anyway, the key to winning this is you're going to need to be in your Tint Wiz account when we go live with this contest. Because if you're not in your Tint Wiz app when we go live with this contest and somebody is, they may be able to do the thing that is going to win them the prize. Now, it's not a one. They could enter and be wrong, and then it's going to come down to who got closest. Okay, so do you understand what I'm saying? There's going to be a time limit. There's going to be a way you're going to have to answer, and it's going to be closest to the right answer is going to win. If somebody gets it exact, then they're going to win based on being first to get it exact. If it just comes close and everybody's close, then it's going to be at the end of that contest, whoever was closest will be the winner. And it's going to be window film related, and you're going to need to figure something out. And that's kind of the concept with it. And if you figure it out first, or you figure it out first and accurately, you win, and that's it. And then the winner will be announced, obviously, publicly, and you'll know you won because you saw that shit pop up in Tint Wiz. Excuse my language, but like you saw it pop up in Tint Wiz, you were like, hell yeah, you click into it, you answer the question, and you were either closest at the end of the time or you were spot on right, and you're going to instantly win, and there will be one winner, and I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited about the partner we're doing this with because I don't necessarily want to announce it this second, but okay, here's the keys. Here's more stuff. If I announce it, you'll kind of get an idea of maybe what it is. But the thing you're going to have to solve to win, it'll be the last time you have to solve it, because moving on from there, Tint Wiz will do it for you. So the idea is I want to introduce a contest for Tint Wiz users. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass, and you're going to have to figure something out. But somebody's going to win something big. And then everybody from that day forward, because that new feature is in the app, nobody will ever have to do that again. You'll never have to be inaccurate or guess or come close. You're going to be accurate with consistency every single time using Tint Wiz. So that's kind of the big thing. And like, look, I know we just spent 10 minutes talking about a giveaway. And I mean, I'm just excited about this because these are things like, look, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to promote a new feature in Tint Wiz, right? What else am I trying to do? I'm trying to get something fucking awesome in somebody's hands that's using Tint Wiz, because I appreciate somebody who's using Tint Wiz, and I want, as a company, for our marketing to be, it shouldn't be marketing like, who signs up to Tint Wiz this month gets this thing. It should be like, who's using Tint Wiz gets these things, because that pays back to people who are, early adopters, investors into using Tint Wiz, who support the app and so on. We want to support you that way. So, you're going to see these sorts of, like, I'm excited about this sort of thing because we kind of piece together how we can do such a big giveaway. At the same time, it's going to help get the word out of a new feature. And at the same time, I really do think that like whoever wins it is going to like be like, holy shit, because it's big. And it's not the biggest thing we're going to give away, because I want to give away like work vans, like brand new work vans one day. And so that's kind of like where I've set like an ultimate goal is like, I want to be able to like just send a freaking paid off van to a company and be like, you want a van, and maybe multiple companies. This isn't that. You're not getting a van yet, but these are the kind of things that I want to do, because what better way to reinvest like what comes out of Tint Wiz than directly into Tint Wiz in these sorts of ways. So and then, at the same time, we're including partners within the industry. So to me, that helps too, because look, it's going to help a partner get out there. It's going to get a product out there. It's going to bring exposure to all this. And it helps, get tools in people's hands, get products in people's hands that maybe you never would have experienced it. But because you're a part of Tint Wiz, you got it for free or for whatever, for a discount or whatever it is. And the point is, hey, hopefully that helps you. And if it didn't, maybe the next one will. But you're being exposed to new things. And to me, that's a really fun way to reinvest into Tint Wiz. And always been part of the vision and always will be part of the vision. So two giveaways. One's in the WFR. It's going to be tomorrow, sometime around noonish time, depending on your time zone, somewhere in the middle of that day. And then the other one is going to be something for a shop. And not for a shop, like you don't have to have a shop, but it's going to be a big one. It's coming probably within the next month or so. And you'll find out more about it. But key is it's going to only be available for Tint Wiz users. Because we're really trying to reward those people who are like you all that are using it. And I'm excited. I'm excited because anytime somebody gets something, they're really happy. That makes me really happy. People get really happy about it. And then like to me, that's I don't know, that's a pretty good day. So John said, send me a Tint Wiz colored Swiss Track Explorer, Eric. I'll change my color scheme right now. So, okay, it's not Swiss Tracks. However, there is, I don't know how to not give this away, but give it away. But see you at the Window Film Convention. That's all I can say for that one. If we're talking about Swiss Tracks, see you at the Window Film Convention this year. If you make it there, Swiss Tracks may be in your future, but it's not for this giveaway. Could be for other ones, but Swiss Tracks, all I can say is Window Film Convention this year. It was already planned. We were going to do it in January. Now we'll do it in June, if there's a June. And if not, we're going to do it in September. And what I'm really, really excited, I'm going to be the first one to say, the Window Film Convention being in June is the absolute worst idea I've ever heard of in Window Film Convention history. However, I will be there. We will be there. I want to support it. We have big plans for it. I don't care if nobody shows up. We'll be there and we're going to have a good time. We'll stream it if we have to, if no one else is going to be there. And I encourage everybody, if there's a way to come out, to make it there, because even so, it's at the worst freaking time of the year. It is a one-time-a-year industry event. I really appreciate the Window Film Convention for putting it on. And I just say, like, look, it's the worst time of the year, but like, if you can do anything about making it, come anyway. Come anyway, complain, maybe say this is the worst time of the year, maybe even say I'll never come back in June. But if you can make it this year, I really do believe in it and like really appreciate that it is existing. So I support it. And if I talk shit about it, I'm just being honest. But I'm also being honest about how much I appreciate it, how much we support it, how much I'm excited to be there, how much effort we're putting into our booth. So our booth is going to be something that's, I think, different I've never seen this. It's going to be interactive. You're going to get free stuff. You're going to learn stuff. And it's not going to be like you walk by like a table and there's papers and me standing there and I'm like, hey, it's not going to be that. It's going to be something way more fun, worth going to, and hopefully more like a Disney ride in my imagination, what I'm aiming for. So Tint Off, Swiss Tracks, big giveaway, Tint Wiz users, WFR hoodies, anybody in the group tomorrow, and that's it. Haas, I know you're not making it because you're babies. Well, that's a beautiful reason to not make it. And if you haven't seen Haas's gender reveal, it is on his son's YouTube account. Haas, you're gonna have to link it here because I don't remember the name, even so I am subscribed. The gender reveal is like 5 minutes, but I put a big smile on my face. I thought it was a very well-made video, and congratulations on launching that YouTube channel as well as your own. People should go subscribe to this thing because whether you subscribe to the family one or the tint one, you're going to learn something and it's entertaining. And I don't know, why not support your peers and the people that support you? So will there be a tiger at the booth? No tiger. It sucks. Caden's Adventure. That's not, okay, hold on. Let me pause because that's one of those things where like the space changes it. In response to Cato, will there be a tiger at the booth? No, it sucks that because of COVID, because of uncertainties, I had to rethink what the booth was going to be. So my original plan for the booth was we rented a big booth, it's a huge booth, and my plan was to make the ultimate hangout spot for everybody. Because frankly, when you come there, you walk around, and at the end of the day, at the end of 30 minutes, you're like, all right, where do I go now? Where do I sit? Who do I talk to? And you end up just kind of standing either in the middle or by an event and kind of chatting with whoever you feel comfortable chatting with. And what I thought would be cool was let's create like a living room type environment that kind of doubles as a podcast. And we could all kind of get to know each other. We could live stream. We could chat. This could be streamed out to the people who missed the event. We can all sit around each other, get to know each other, meet each other. People can come in and out. We can have different topics. We can have different hosts. I mean, there's so many things we could do. But the idea was I wanted you to have a place to drink coffee, have a barista serve you coffee. We're going to have food, drinks, just hang out, whatever we can get away with, because they do try to restrict you on that because they want you to buy their food and drinks. But we're going to try and bend the rules and see what we can get away with to provide you with a comfortable, fun, relaxed environment. Now, with COVID hitting, I then thought, how the hell are we going to all sit in chairs around a table? I don't even know. Maybe you get up from the sofa, you get up from the table. Do I have to have somebody wipe it down? Like, are we going to have like bubbles over our head if we're not 6 feet apart? Because it is a big booth. But if we have to be 6 feet apart, it's definitely going to be not maybe a living room type casual, relaxed environment. So we have rethought the solution or rethought the plan. It is not going to be a living room. It's going to be a whole different thing. It's more like a go through something, if I can explain that, or like a ride. Like, you're not going to be swung around. You're not going to be dizzy. You're not going to have to necessarily touch anything, but we're trying to make it kind of interactive. And we will have Tint Wiz masks there if you want one. John brought up. And that's it. But we're in response to the tiger. Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, I have to really be restricted to. I don't know what the internet's going to be like there. I didn't even read all the fine print of the contracts. I don't even know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes or put ourselves in a situation where the plan on the booth can't revolve around something that's not allowed. And I don't know if something's going to change between now and then. So anyway, that's what's gone into this booth. It's the second time they've rescheduled, or September to January, January to June. We'll adjust accordingly. I hope people can make it. It's on the worst date possible. Hope to see you there, and maybe that's a good place to end it. So that's it. Thank you all for watching. We haven't done like one of these alone Tint Wisdoms in a while, and it's I was just reading David Rosenberg's comment. Thanks for watching. So yeah, basically, we haven't done one that's been one-on-one for a while, and I'm really happy to do today. Thank you all for joining in the comments, because it wouldn't have been that without every single comment, every single question, no matter what it is. And I'm going to try to incorporate more of these one-on-one type events within the interviews, just to mix it up and give myself a chance to talk nonstop like we did tonight. So thank you, Easton, for the comment. Great podcast, bud. John, you should start a Tint Wiz users Facebook group. So there's going to be something in there. Look, I agree. Facebook group seems like an obvious, great idea and something like people would benefit from. I try to think, I agree with you, but when we do a Facebook group, I want it to be a Facebook group that, like, again, exceeds expectations. I don't want it to be where we do too many things and then maybe the effectiveness or the experience in doing those things suffers. So Facebook groups probably going to be part of more ways that as a Tint Wiz user you can be involved. And just like on a note to leave y'all often, if this year goes well, we're gonna have a physical location. There's gonna be a studio, and there's a lot of shit coming. It's gonna be something that I think we can bring in nationwide, tinters, nationwide trainers, different brands, different types of events we can hold there. It'll be a large facility, and it can be dedicated to Tint Wiz, dedicated to merchandising, so we can have more products to offer, better shipping and faster support. Like, there is a giant plan, and I'm not trying to like tease you, but beyond anything we spoke about, if this year goes as it looks like it's going, come 2022, there's not going to be a question of where can we hold an event. There's not going to be a question of where are we going to do videos or training or new products, or how can we get trainers together. We can hold schools, potentially, their training facilities that are not training new tinters how to tint. Nothing wrong with that, but training existing tinters on how to step up their game on the training aspect of it, and working with manufacturers to elevate that experience, not in a way where we're trying to shut out other trainers or shut out any other schools, but in a way that we can kind of provide this industry resource that happens to be a physical location, and we can put things in place that make it something that everybody can benefit from in some way or another, even if it's just through the online education that'll come out of that. um, so I'm really excited about that. I haven't really mentioned that to anybody other than Cody and Haas. Actually, recently in the last couple of weeks, I mentioned that physical location too. But it's something that, it's not one of those things like a feature where I can say, look, it's coming. But it is something that I can say, this next level, it doesn't even, how does this relate to an app? You're going to see if the stars align, if we can have the success in 2021 that we had in 2020, as far as everybody, getting the word out there and being on board with Tint Wiz and so on, the stuff that we will introduce at the end of this year or by next year is really industry, hopefully changing. We'll bring people together. We'll change the game on content. We'll change the game on resources, provide entertainment, education, physical locations, jobs. So one of the things before I stop this is jobs. One of the ideas with physical locations is I want to be able to provide, not me as in me, but part of Tint Wiz's goal is down the line to be able to provide a job to somebody who breaks their arm and says, I can't tint for 6 months. What can I do? Well, you can work as a Tint Wiz trainer, as a content provider, as something. I want somebody who says, I have arthritis and I only need to work part-time. I want you to make a part-time living being able to do training and being able to help other Tint Wiz users and other people in the industry and so on. And these are kind of branches off that once the roots grow deeper and wider, you're going to see branches and things sprouting out of the ground and branches growing that I really think can have like a heart, like warming, real effect on the industry. We can do things that can generate the kind of support. So when somebody's house burns down, unfortunately, or a shop burns down, or somebody's robbed, or something terrible happens in their life, that, yeah, the community should come together and support that person. But I also feel like there should be resources and companies out there that are able to provide that support, be able to provide jobs, be able to provide and so on. And like that's ultimately like those are steps that like long term, like it's not just an app, it's not just tools, it's not just live streams, but it's just the very beginning. This is just the very beginning. If you're, we all have at least 10, 20, 30, some of us 30, 40 years left in the industry, left in working, even if it's not tinting, even if it's another way you're in the industry. Like there's a lot of years to come, and this is a long road. Even if we're going to do this together for only 15 before you retire, 20 years is a long way. We're only at the very beginning of that path. So we're very appreciative of those who are joining that path with us. We're here to help. And I'm excited about the future. That's it. I'm very excited about the very long-term future, and I'm beyond blessed, appreciative, thankful to have made it to this point. So we have a community, we have a user base, we have what I consider the absolute best solution in the window film industry, and I just feel like we've really, we really are just, we're at a great level, but when you take a step back, it happens to be just the very beginning. So, I don't know. Thank you. Because, that's what it is. Like, this is a community. Haas, you said like it's a way of life. I mean, that's the idea. We're not trying to be a company that says it's a way of life. I want to really show as a company, like, yes, it's a way of life. And at the same time, see how the actions that we do to do that, how they can have a ripple effect in the industry, how they can maybe influence how other companies do business, whether they be users or other industry like leaders and other manufacturers and that sort of thing. Like there's all sorts of ways. And like part of that is coming in with this, hey, we're going to do our thing. We're going to set an example. We're going to work together. We're going to have crazy dreams and high goals. And we're going to do things that maybe just seem like, how's that even possible? But we're going to do it, and we're going to do it publicly. We're going to do it openly so that other people can hopefully be inspired by it or learn from it or benefit from it or even copy from it. Because at the end of the day, it's not a problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like what I mean by that is like, the foundation is, whatever there is to be lost by somebody copying, there's more to be gained by who you can inspire and what can be worked by collaborating together and not trying to protect and instead trying to open up. And again, those are things that like I want to demonstrate both as a person but as a company, and throughout the community. And I appreciate everybody who comes along for the ride. So let's do it. And thank you. So at that point, I'm going to hit finish and thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being a part of Tint Wiz. If you're not a Tint Wiz user, I still thank you. It doesn't matter. That's not the end goal here. I mean, ultimately, I'd love that, but look, at the end of the day, what Tint Wizdom and what Tint Wiz is about really is collaborating and creating tools and creating an environment that benefits the whole industry, lifts everybody up, and so on. So, um, thank you. And Kato, before you go, what's the big giveaway? It's a plotter. Have a good night.